Hi, James Willoughby here, bringing another edition of What's Happening in Austin Real Estate. We're going to look at the statistics for the end of week 4 of June. We're getting almost into July here, and we're fully into what we would consider to be the summer market. Although summer just started on the calendar, the summer market has been cooking here for some time. In fact, last week we mentioned that if you're trying to get in by mid-August, you probably need to buy a home by mid-July. So we've got like 3 more weeks of people that have school-age children that might want to get in into their new home by mid-August. Well, they're out there shopping right now. So let's take a look at what's really going on here. So our weekly charts here. Let's see active inventory. We're now up to 12,000 rather, 266, and that is actually the highest it's been since 2010, and that's reported by the Texas Real Estate Research Center. At Texas A&M, and that's an interesting number because you can see how much higher we were than this time last year. So basically about 2,500 more listings than we were at week 4 of 2023. So I think what that's showing us is that that's going to affect pricing. And in fact, when we look at the new active listings versus the new pending listings, we could see that last week we had 1,004 new listings, and then homes that went pending, we only had 835. So this gap right here is causing that inventory, the active inventory number, to go up and continue to go up. And we've seen a lot of things happen this year. I don't know if you remember, if you watched me last week, I had mentioned that we are actually, even though summer hadn't begun, that we're already like almost all the way through our summer market. And what I meant by that is the summer sales season really slacks off by, mid-July, because if anybody's buying in mid-July, they can't close until probably mid-August unless they're paying cash. So, so the activity that's going to happen for people with school-age children is going to happen in the next 3 weeks. Yet there's a lot of people on vacation and so forth. So I think we'll have a flurry of activity. I don't think it'll be unbelievable. I don't think it'll turn the market around. But you can see that some of these sellers here, this is the price reduction chart. Some of these sellers are getting serious. In fact, we had the most number of price improvements or price reductions last week. So over 1,800. So about 15% of the market changed their price last week alone. So you can see this has been very, very high the last several weeks. There's people that are on the market that are starting to realize that their price isn't getting any traction, and maybe they're not getting enough showings to even get excited about selling their home. And then weeks of inventory, I talk about this one all the time. I think there's one chart to look at, one graph to look at. This is probably the one. And the reason why is because it's also known as the absorption rate, meaning that if the inventory we have now doesn't change with the 12,000 listings and they're gobbled up at 835 per week, it's going to take 14.69 weeks to eat up all that inventory. So you can see that's a high for the last several months. In fact, it's the high since I think the last back was like 15. So do that a little bit. It was 15.7 first week of January. So that's to be expected, right? So basically we're looking at the same amount of inventory we had in January, first week of January, and that was like unsold inventory that wasn't moving very quick just because of the time of the year. But here we are at the supposed peak time of the year, and we have just as much inventory. So that's a concern for sure if you're not priced right. And then let's talk about interest rates. So here's some good news for you. Mortgage rates continue to move lower, 3 weeks in a row of lower mortgage rates. And if we look at the rates here, we're now at 6.87 nationwide average, and that's for the 30-year, and then 6.13 for the 15-year. And I'm not an economist, but there's definitely some downward pressure on rates, either politically or otherwise. They say that the Fed's possibly thinking about cutting the funds rate, although that's not exactly what mortgage rates beat to. It's more of a 10-year Treasury thing. But the rates continue to decline. That's good news. We like sub 7%, and maybe someday sub 6%. We'll see that again. So anyway, so there are some good news buried in the bad news here in terms of what's going on in the Austin market. This is the one thing we want to look at is this gap here. We're hoping, you see how we've been under 900 sales or pending sales per week. since the last week of May. So sales have, for whatever reason, just flattened out and haven't peaked. In fact, the peak was, back here from March to May, mid-May. So, and more inventory. So if you're a buyer, it's a good time to think about buying. If you're a seller, it's a good time to think about improving your price. So that's where we're at this week. Let me know if you have any questions, get with us, and we'll be happy to answer those. Thanks so much. Have a really good week. Thanks.